That, hey, good morning, Facebook. Coming to you from Rythmia Life Advancement Center in Guanacaste, Costa Rica, and it is perfect as it is every Tuesday. Who is Rythmia? We are a life advancement center, kind of unlike any other in the world. We use multiple modalities to bring about a soul merger, and that really makes people have a new start in life, a brand new start in life. How do I know that? 96.12%. That's 961.2 out of every 1,000 people who've come through the doors have reported a life-changing miracle during their stay. And how many have been through the doors? Over 13,500 people. Wow. Now, 2,200 plus TripAdvisor reviews, making us a top 10 TripAdvisor resort. 13,500 guests, the biggest and best number. 91.87% of the people that have been here at the 6-month mark are given a survey, and 91.87% report that this was the week that changed their life 6 months later. Crazy, crazy, crazy statistic. Yep. Now, in this thing, we're talking about the things that work. And what do I mean by work? Well, work to help us become a beneficial presence on the planet and to participate in the feeling of mastery of that. It's the greatest feeling on earth. It's the best feeling on earth. And so what have we discovered? Well, the first thing we got to recognize is how lucky we are to be alive. Numbers can do that. The odds of that egg and that sperm getting together and creating you are 400 trillion to 1. Now, I keep getting mathematicians who tell me something new each week, but it's the equivalent, I believe, of winning Super Lotto 13 times in a row. The odds of you being here, just that in itself makes you kind of thankful to be alive, right? Or should. But if we're not aware, that's why awareness is so important. If we don't make ourselves aware of the reality of that, then the rest of it can fall under a different way of being, which is not cool, the entitlement way. But if we look at it as life itself is a gift and that we won the lottery just to be here, we're off to a great start. The second thing, in these surveys and studies that have been done, they found out that the primary ingredient of those who succeed, and by succeed, that doesn't necessarily always mean financial success. It usually does, because financial success is usually a byproduct of mastering your becoming a beneficial presence on the planet, generally speaking. But what is the primary component? Grit, 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 grit. How do I define grit? Grit is the act of honoring the agreements with yourself regardless of circumstances or conditions precedent. That's what grit is. Grit is saying, I don't care if I'm tired. I don't care if I'm lonely. I don't care if I'm sad today. I'm going to do this, 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 and this in accord with my floor plan of getting to my beneficial presence. Boom. Now, in our agreements with ourselves, we agree to do a couple things. We agree not to deviate. We agree, and these are things I've all covered during the past 8 or 9 of these. We agree not to deviate. We agree to write down our goals. We agree to pray every day. We agree to get up at a certain time. We agree to walk around the block or do some kind of movement, some kind of body movement as a preparation for our day. We agree to tackle those things that are hardest first and structure our day in that way. We agree to tithe on the delta, on the difference between our life now and our life post becoming this beneficial presence in this process. We agree that these human emotions that we're going to feel of joy, pain, sunshine, rain, anger, frustration, happiness, bliss, uh, all of these things, that in spite of those, I'm going to continue to honor the agreements with myself, regardless of these things and how I'm feeling. We agreed that the path to these things is my ceremony. My quest for becoming a beneficial presence on the planet through rythmia has been a long 7-year ceremony for me. Your marriage could be a 7-year ceremony for you. Your relationship with your family, your mothers and fathers and sisters, brothers and children could be a ceremony for you, right? Because these are all things, and we agree to leave on this journey prior to all the lights becoming green. So what does that mean? We leave with our own baggage. We don't wait till we're perfect and leave. That's not how this thing works. Because the journey itself is the ceremony. We leave as is. We leave as is. Right? Beautiful stuff. Now, we learned one of the things that we should never do. There's these detriments to getting there. One of the biggest detriments to getting there is otherizing. So what is the outpicturing of otherizing? Talking about others publicly and privately. Knocking them down publicly and privately. That's otherizing. And when we do that, what we do is we take the focus off our own growth and put the blame on someone else. And the next step in that process is entitlement. This is being done to me by this person, therefore I am entitled. The wrong way. As a matter of fact, you can never get there that way. It's impossible to get there that way. Impossible. So we want to do the opposite. We want to really catch ourselves when we find ourselves talking about someone in a negative way. Talking about someone in a negative way, right, wrong, or indifferent, it's a waste of time. And if you turned that time into work, into getting to your thing, man, what a difference it would make in your life. Now, we also found that trust in ourselves is built. Trust in ourselves is not granted. You can't fake yourself into trust in yourself. You can't pretend your way. Like in certain businesses, you can fake it till you make it. Maybe in the acting business, but you cannot fake your way into trust. It does not work that way. So by honoring these little agreements with ourselves, we start to build trust, and then our word with ourselves becomes of great value. So we don't give it lightly. We don't give it lightly because the value of it is so great, because we know when we give our word, we have to honor it. So just that very thing. So there's the saying around that is, until my no has value, my yes is worthless. If I say yes to everything, I'm screwed, because there is no possible way I can honor those yeses. None. So what I have to do is really know where I'm at, really know where I'm going, say yes in a very selective way, and then honor my yeses. Then all of a sudden, I start to build trust. And when you start to build trust, you start to walk through life in a different way. And by the way, others can vibrationally tell if you trust yourself, and then they will follow in suit. What does that mean? When I meet someone and that someone is in complete trust of themselves, I automatically trust them. Just how it goes. And it's not because of some agreement. It's something that they vibe. Their idea of themselves, their agreements with themselves is super high. And that has its own vibration. So like there are tons of vibrations that are specific, that are happening in a person, that are happening in me, and we can tell where we're at. So there may be a person who doesn't have a lot of self-confidence, but they have a lot of honor to their own word. That can be. They might not think they're attractive, but they know they honor their word. They come off in a way that is of strength. And that's what we want around us. We want strong feminine and strong masculine. Strong positive feminine, strong positive masculine. That's what we want, right? And that's what we're attracted to. So in this quest of getting all these things done, we have this list of things we want to do, honor ourselves. There's so many programs out there that sell how to get out of these primary feelings of fear, of jealousy, of anger, of frustration, how to get out of them. I'm saying because what they want you to do, they want you to buy a program that gets you out of these so then you can become a beneficial presence. I flip that on them. I say get involved immediately. And then these things come as a result of the journey. That's why if you never step on the racetrack, you can never win. It's just the way that it works. Yeah. Now, here's a concept that I want to introduce today, and it's the talk of what I would like to talk about today. Our differences are our strengths. Our differences are our strengths. What do I mean by that? Well, I got to tell you something. I was one of the first wealthy men that I was exposed to when I was a young guy who was really wealthy. Was a manufacturer of school buses. And I became friends with his son. And one day, his son, in my presence, his son said something to his father about one of the guys who was working on the line that was putting the buses together. And the son said something like, "You see, Dad, he doesn't think like us. We should get rid of him, da 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 da." And his father looked at the son in front of me and said to him, he said to him, "You don't get it. If everybody thought like me, there would be nobody to drive the buses." And that hit me so hard. That hit me so hard. Now, the father wasn't making fun of the people who were driving the buses. The father was simply stating a fact that if we all think the same way, nothing gets done. Nothing gets done. So what I want to talk about today is that, like in the rythmia, what I call the rythmia ecosystem, right? There are saints, and there really are. I actually think Taito Juanito and Mitra may be in saint category. I really do. There are workers, there are managers, there are business people, there are laborers, there are all these different types of people, because it takes a village. Now, if Taito Juan was trying to get all of us to become a saint, it wouldn't work. As a matter of fact, he's the exact opposite. And that's what makes him a saint, is that he lets everybody be who they are. If I was trying to make all of these people business people, it wouldn't work. And now you think, hey, wait, a business person and a saint shouldn't be able to get along. And yet, because both Juanito and I understand that it takes a village, he and I get along amazingly. In other words, I glorify him for what he does, and he does the same for me. Same with Michael Beckwith, right? There's all these people. So I see a ton of people that are, let's say, on the right or on the left, making fun of that other person when that other person is absolutely needed. So If you make fun of consumers, that's ridiculous, because if they don't buy things, they have nothing to buy from you. If you make fun of the people creating things, then there'll be nothing to buy. And when I say nothing to buy, I mean no goods or services, whether it's energy work or a beautiful meal or an automobile. Or if you make fun of the people that are setting policy, even in their imperfection, they're trying to set policy that elevates. So what I'm telling you is that, and I'm not talking about being quiet in the face of injustice. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about normal, everyday things that I observe every day of people talking down somebody that does not fit who they are. So if business people talk down their employees, that's wrong. If employees talk down their bosses, that's wrong, because one can't elevate without the other. And the awareness of this is something that took me a very long time, because I wanted everybody to be a particular way. And that's not how the world works. But boy, once I learned it, I learned it. And what a difference it's made in my life to look at people and not want them to think like I think. That I don't want them to think like I think. I don't, if they think like I think, I'm not mad at them. And if they don't think like I think, I'm not mad at them. But then you look at your ecosystem and you decide what piece you're missing, and you can look for that person to bring them in. So what does that mean? And, like in certain teams, people who are artistic are thrown out because the team wants to be organized and doing things this way. And yet in the larger system, that artistic person is extremely needed. Maybe not at the same ratio as the doers, but they're absolutely needed. And once we recognize this, and here's the craziest thing, the universe, the way the earth spins, the way the earth works, it takes care of that balance. So if something becomes out of balance, the earth corrects it. If there's too many creatives and not enough doers, that system sinks. And then what happens is a bunch of doers are generated. So it's a constant ebb and flow of a little too much and not quite enough, but generally right, because it takes a village. So when you look at your church, when you look at your business, when you look at your baseball team, when you look at your community, it takes a village for that unit to elevate. So it takes everyone. Now, how do they best elevate? There's the question. So when you have the workers putting out the best work that they can, when you have the bosses putting in to do the best work and be the most fair, when you have the business owners doing the best work and being the most fair, when you have the creatives doing the best work and the greatest, like the highest achievement, when you have the musicians doing the best job that they can do, then all of a sudden everything comes up. When you have the moms being the best moms that they can be, when you have the dads being the best dads that they can be. And by the way, all these new studies are coming out about the importance of being a dad and the importance of being a good dad. Wow, there's so much in this. So all of these things, what I'm going to tell you is, if you can stop being frustrated with someone who doesn't think like you and look at your ecosystem and say, well, wait, that person's very much needed as they are, and allow them to grow up, boom, boom, 2 thumbs. You're really, really, really going to get somewhere. And if we look at our countries that way, and our businesses that way, and our churches that way, and our communities that way, and our lives that way, we're going to be much happier. Because if you ever see And it's interesting because I'm getting older and my body's changing, and I'm looking at flowers longer than I used to. I'm doing all kinds of strange things, but I'm watching some other people age who are getting um, frustrated. And what it appears that they're getting frustrated with is that as they age, they've they've hopefully acquired knowledge over time, and they want everybody else to have that knowledge. But that is not how it works. Uh-huh. Knowledge is something that is searched for by those who want to grow and not by those who don't. So there's a space for people who don't want to grow. They're an active part of an ecosystem in a smaller scale, right? So a lot of times when people are frustrated, they're they've otherized their frustration to say, these damn people they're not right. They're thinking this way, they're not right. The universe will take care of that balance for you. What you take care of is recognizing your differences are your strengths. Uh-huh. And becoming the best version of the unique being that you are. And you are unique. Your brain was wired in a way, and let's say there are 20 different wiring types of the brain. And let's say that there's 7 most popular, like right brain, left brain, this way, that way. Uh-huh. And then there's little ones. Whatever one you got is yours. Uh-huh. Now, play that to the greatest strength you can play it. Play that to the greatest strength you can play it. That is our obligation with the universe, to become a beneficial presence in our own way. Uh-huh. Not to be Taita Juanito, not to be a patron saint, not to be, but to be the unique, most skilled version of yourself. That's the gift. That is the gift. If you're going to be the best prayer or the best mom or the best dad or the best community leader or the best nonprofit head or the best energy worker or the best shaman or the best what, that is the thing. To share your gifts and blessings with others by honing them, by honing your skills so that you become a great beneficial presence on the planet. That's my thing for the day. It's a talk of peace, and I wanted to share my thoughts with you on that. Little thing about rythmia. So in the last 7 weeks, we've been turning away people in greater numbers than we have before because we're booked. We're booked. What I'm going to suggest to you is to book now and to get a place, get a spot and book now so that you have it in the future. That you have to come. You got to experience this thing. I have to tell you, when I get people back who were here 3 years ago or 4 years ago and say, Jerry, I swear to you, my life has changed so much for the better because of this. Life is too short not to go and to experience this kind of programming. It is. And I got to tell you, the world has changed. I was in Miami a couple days last week, and the world has changed so much because of rapid inflation in the post-growth of COVID. Uh-huh. And what I mean by rapid inflation, I swear to you, and I don't want to talk like an old guy, but just 7 years ago, if I were to spend more than $250 on a hotel room, I would expect to get the greatest hotel room made. Uh-huh. And now, I looked at a hotel room in Florida for $2,000 a night, and it was nothing. It was terrible. Uh-huh. I cannot believe. So what I'm telling you is prices have changed. The world has changed. And rather than complain about that pricing, get used to it and adapt. That's what I'm going to tell you. Okay. Have a beautiful, blessed, and sacred week, and we will talk to you next week. Cheers.